Welcome to this video class. Today we are going to deal with the poem in Unit 2. The title of the poem is Confessions of a Born Spectator. What does the title signify? What is confession? Confession means acceptance, acknowledgement or admitting something. Who is a spectator? A spectator is audience. The poet admits that he is a born spectator. Now, what does the poet say in this poem? The poet talks about how people choose different sports in their lives. The poet admires the talents of all the players. He derives satisfaction from watching them. He is happy to be a spectator. He doesn't want to be a player. He does not wish to exchange places with them. Now, let's analyze the poem line by line. Stanza 1. One infant grows up and becomes a jockey. Infant means child. The child grows and becomes a jockey. Jockey means horse rider. So one person becomes a horse rider. Another plays basketball or hockey. Another person may become a basketball player. Yet another one may become a hockey player. This one, the prize ring, hates to enter. Prize ring is the enclosed area in which boxing matches are fought. Some persons do not like to become a boxer. Maybe they are frightened of the injury that they may get. That one becomes a tackle or center. In football, the tackler tries to take the ball from the opponent. Even in other team games like hockey, there are tacklers or defenders. Center refers to players who play in the center position. In the first stanza, the poet clearly shows how people choose different games of their choice. Now, what about the poet? I am just glad as glad can be that I am not them, that they are not me. I stands for the poet. I am just glad. Glad means happy. Who is happy? The poet. Why? Why is he glad? Because that I am not them. I stands for the poet and them stands for the players. The poet is happy because he is not a player. The players are not spectators. The poet does not play any game. He prefers to be a spectator and he enjoys being a spectator. I hope that all of you would have understood this stanza. So, we shall move on to the next stanza. Stanza 2. With all my heart, I do admire athletes who sweat for fun or hire. Admire means applaud, praise or regard with respect. So, with all my heart, wholeheartedly, I stands for the poet. So, wholeheartedly, the poet admires athletes. who sweat for fun or hire. The poet admires these athletes who participate in field and track events like running, high jump, long jump, relay, etc. These sports events involve physical strength, speed, and endurance. So these athletes, they sweat for fun or hire. Why do they sweat? It may be for entertainment, or hire means for money. Some players will be hired, and as compensation, huge amount will be paid to them. So, athletes play for entertainment or for money. Whom does the poet admire? The poet admires the athletes. Why do they sweat? They play rough games actively, so they sweat. Now, next line. Who take the field in gaudy pomp and maim each other as they romp. Gaudy pomp means showy dress. So who here stands for the players? So the players enter the field in showy, brightly colored dress. While playing, they maim. Maim means injure the other players as they romp. Romp means playing in a rough and noisy way. So, what do the players do while playing? They injure the other players. My limp and bashful spirit feeds on other people's heroic deeds. My limp. So, my, it refers to the poet. So, the poet is very weak. And bashful spirit. Bashful means shy and unwilling. The poet is very weak. He is shy and he is not willing to play. He just watches the other players' talents. So his weak spirit feeds on other people's heroic deeds. So the other players, he considers them as heroes. And how do the other players exhibit their talents? How they face the challenge and fight hard to win. All these things the poet admires and he derives pleasure from the other people's games. He is a happy spectator. Stanza 3. A runs 90 yards to score. A refers to one player. 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So 90 yards is equal to 270 feet. That is the length of the football court and rugby. So one player runs 90 yards to score. You find one player here who is running with the ball 90 yards to score. B knocks the champion to the floor. B refers to a boxer. One boxer knocks, that is, hits hard the opponent and make him fall to the floor. Now he becomes a champion. You would have watched boxing matches, how they fight with each other. They fight hard to become a champion. Cracking vertebrae and spines. You all would have noticed how players play roughly. While playing, some players get severely injured. Vertebral bones crack, and vertebrae is the series of small bones forming the backbone. The spinal cord passes through the hole in these bones. So while playing, the players play very roughly. What is the reason? Their primary aim is to win. They don't have any feeling for the other fellow players. So they play roughly. In the course of the play, we find that several players get wounded or injured. Lashes his steed across the line. Here is a reference to a jockey. What does he do? He lashes, that is, beats his steed. Steed is a strong horse. Why does he beat his steed? So that it could run fast and reach the finishing line first and win the race. So a jockey's attempt to win is described here. You would think my ego it would please to swap positions with one of these. U stands for the readers. Okay. Ego is opinion about self or self-importance. To swap means exchange. You would think, that is, the readers or even others may think, taking the place of a winner may please the poet's ego. But in reality, he doesn't want to be a player. He derives satisfaction by watching them. Stanza 4. Well, ego it might be pleased enough, but zealous athletes play so rough, they do not in their dealings consider one another's feelings. Ego means self-importance. Pleased means satisfied. The poet's ego may be happy if he becomes a winner in any sport. But zealous athletes, that is, enthusiastic players, play so rough. You would have seen some players pushing another or dashing against them or sliding in front of them to make them fall. Why do they play like this? Their main aim is to win, to get victory. They do not care about others in their dealings. Dealings means in their activities. The way they play shows that they have no feeling for others. I am glad when my struggle begins twixt prudence and ego. Prudence wins. Now, there is a clash between ego and prudence. Prudence means wisdom. Ego tells him to seek glory in sports. Prudence says the poet should not participate because he is weak and shy. So, in the fight between ego and prudence, prudence or wisdom wins. That is, his wisdom has made him decide that he should be a spectator only and not a player. The poet is now happy to be a spectator. We shall now move on to the next stanza, stanza 5. When swollen eye meets gnarled fist, when snaps the knee and cracks the wrist. Gnarled means rough and twisted. Fist means fingers bent and held tightly. With the fist, players punch or pound the opponent. Can you say which game is referred to? It is boxing. Why is the eye described as swollen? Because the eyes get injured. When snaps the knee, snaps means crack with a sound. Here it is said that while playing, the knee breaks. What else also breaks? The wrist, the joint connecting the hand with the forearm. When officialdom demands, is there a doctor in the stands? Officialdom means people in authority. Stand refers to the place where the spectators, the substitute players, other officers and doctors would sit and watch the game. When a player is injured, the officials would demand means ask. They would ask if there is a doctor there. Now, why do they call for a doctor? To treat the injured players. My soul in true thanksgiving speaks for this modest of physics. When the players are injured, the poet is deeply moved. He is safe without injury. So, the poet thanks God for giving him a modest body. How is the poet's body? It is modest. Modest means humble and unassuming. Physique means the appearance. So the poet's body is not an athletic body. The poet is addressing the athletes in stanza 6. Athletes, I will drink to you or eat with you or anything except compete with you. The poet is ready to celebrate the victory of the players. He is ready to drink with them or eat or dine with them, but he is not at all ready to compete with them. Compete means to fight or play against them. Buy tickets worth their radium to watch you gamble in the stadium. Radium is a rare, bright, radioactive element. Gamble means run and jump happily. The poet is ready to spend any amount of money to buy tickets and watch them play in the stadium. And reassure myself anew that you are not me and I am not you. The poet encourages or comforts himself, saying that it is good to be a spectator. So in this poem, the poet clearly brings out the fact that a spectator can be as enthusiastic as a player. The main ideas expressed in the poem. Stanza 1. People choose different sports in their lives, but the poet wishes to be a mere spectator. Stanza 2. The poet admires the athletes and their heroic deeds. He confesses that he is glad that he is neither a sportsman nor an athlete. Stanza 3. Players fight for victory to be a winner in various games. The poet doesn't wish to exchange places with any player. Stanza 4. Seeing the rough games and sports, the poet feels that good sense and caution wins over ego. Stanza 5. The poet thanks God for his modest appearance. Stanza 6. Finally, the poet is satisfied that he is not an athlete but an enthusiastic spectator.